Something happens when a woman ages that society doesn't dare confront. We dress it up in euphemisms: maturity, wisdom, grace. But beneath the polite language is a biological and psychological truth that men with sharp eyes, men who think beyond illusions, have always recognized. Cesare Lombroso, the infamous Italian criminologist, wrote with a bluntness modern ears can hardly bear. The female, in general, is more ferocious, more jealous, more vengeful than the male, and this becomes more visible with age. What he meant was simple. Beauty hides what time eventually reveals. Youth softens the female instinct, conceals her raw cunning beneath the glow of desire. But strip away that glow, let the years eat through her beauty, and you uncover the psychological engine that was always there, only hidden. Intelligent men sense this long before academics gave it words, and so they turn away. They know that older women, stripped of the veil of youth, show more of the primal psychology that Lombroso described. Think about it. For 20 years, a woman's life is buoyed by male attention. Compliments fall like rain. Men orbit her presence, fueling her self-worth with every glance, every whispered invitation, every stare across a room. This attention isn't just pleasant, it becomes her entire sense of existence. And then, as if overnight, the world grows silent. The rain stops. Where once she was surrounded by storms of desire, now there is drought. The silence terrifies her. And that terror is not philosophical, it is chemical. Lombroso insisted that as women age, jealousy and insecurity intensify, that their hunger for validation grows sharper, more dangerous, as the sources dry up. Intelligent men know this hunger isn't satisfied by loyalty or devotion, because those things are constants. What she craves is the unpredictable, the proof she still matters in the eyes of strangers. This makes her unstable, unpredictable, and men who see the world clearly choose not to bind themselves to such volatility. Do you see how the illusion works? At 25, her laughter feels genuine, her sweetness seems real, her loyalty feels unshakable. But these qualities are not fixed, they are fueled. They run on the endless supply of attention her beauty guarantees. Lombroso argued that when deprived of this fuel, when no longer chosen, women turn their energy inward, often destructively, sometimes even criminally. He called it atavism, the re-emergence of primitive traits once restrained by youth and beauty. To the untrained eye, it looks like midlife crisis, a sudden rebellion, a late-stage desperation. But to the intelligent man, it is predictable biology. It is the mask of youth slipping away. It is a reminder that what he saw at 25 was never eternal. He avoids older women because he refuses to tie his life to someone in revolt against her own fading reflection. And here lies the brutal paradox. Men age, but differently. Society tells the 40-year-old man that his best years are ahead, that wisdom and resources have amplified his worth. His silver hair becomes distinction, his success becomes his magnetism. But a 40-year-old woman? Society whispers the opposite. She is told she is past her prime, invisible, expired. Lombroso saw this not as cultural cruelty, but as nature's logic, and he catalogued how older women often became more bitter, more erratic, more dangerous in their behavior, precisely because they could not accept the verdict of biology. Intelligent men, grounded in philosophy, understand this asymmetry and live accordingly. They know that to invest in a woman who is fighting against time itself is to strap yourself to a collapsing building. You've seen it. The woman who once seemed secure now stares too long into mirrors, studies herself with haunted eyes. She changes her clothes, her routines, her friends, trying to resurrect something already gone. A man with average eyes might see a wife working on herself. But the intelligent man sees Lombroso's insight playing out before him, the decline of external beauty revealing the naked machinery of jealousy, vanity, and cunning. And so he makes the choice to step back, to refuse the role of nurse to someone at war with time. That is not cruelty, that is clarity. The tragedy of the modern world is that it flatters women into believing they can cheat nature. Entire industries are built on this illusion. serums, surgeries, gyms, filters, apps, each promising to erase the clock. But as Cesare Lombroso observed in La Donna Delinquente, when beauty fades, jealousy grows. When the possibility of reproduction ends, the thirst for domination appears. Do you understand the depth of that? What he saw, with the cold eye of science, is that the end of youthful desirability does not calm women, it inflames them. They double down. They fight reality itself, and in that fight, they drag men into the chaos. Intelligent men avoid older women, not because of cruelty or shallowness, but because they refuse to be caught in the gravitational pull of that desperate struggle. Picture the scene. A man, 45, secure in himself, established, perhaps even wealthier than in his youth. He feels his value increasing. Women who once ignored him now look twice. He is told he has aged like wine. Meanwhile, his female counterpart is told the opposite. Her worth depreciates like currency in freefall. Lombroso catalogued the symptoms with scientific cruelty: bitterness, resentment, manipulation, the turning of affection into weaponry. He insisted that these traits, though present in youth, are masked by beauty and revealed fully with age. The intelligent man does not judge, he simply observes. He does not hate, he avoids. But the average man? He tells himself stories. He marries at 30, believes in permanence, refuses to acknowledge that time is the silent rival in every marriage. He convinces himself that the woman who adored him at 25 is the same woman who will stand by him at 45. Then he wakes up one morning to a stranger. Her laughter is different, her words sharper, her eyes wandering. He feels betrayed. But Lombroso would have told him plainly, this was always in her. The collapse is not a betrayal of you, it is a betrayal of reality itself. And the intelligent man does not build his house on ground he knows will sink. Listen carefully. When a woman loses the currency of beauty, she searches for a new one. Some chase status, others chase novelty, others chase younger men to remind themselves they still can. Lombroso argued that this shift is not a matter of free choice but of necessity. When one avenue of power closes, another must open. This is why older women often seek control, influence, or emotional manipulation. Intelligent men see the shift, and instead of trying to negotiate with it, they walk away. They know that a woman fighting to resurrect youth will never have peace, and a woman without peace will never offer peace to a man. This is not misogyny. This is pattern recognition. Lombroso's writings were not love letters or romantic fantasies. They were case studies, dissections of the human soul under pressure. He saw the jealous widow poisoning rivals, the aging courtesan turning manipulative, the matron whose devotion decayed into bitterness. These were not accidents, they were outcomes. And intelligent men, men who study history and psychology, absorb these lessons and act accordingly. They do not swim against the tide of biology. They accept the current and chart their course around it. So when you hear someone say, "Why do intelligent men avoid older women?" the answer is simple. Because they see what most men refuse to see. They understand that behind the soft words and forced smiles is a storm raging against mortality itself, and no amount of devotion can calm that storm once it begins. Lombroso saw it. The intelligent man sees it. The rest learn it too late. There is a cruelty in time that men accept, but women often refuse. A man looks in the mirror, sees his hair thinning, his jaw softening, his body slower than before. He shrugs, works harder, leans into other strengths. But when a woman confronts that same mirror and sees her beauty dimming, her terror is existential. Cesare Lombroso wrote, "The criminal woman is often only the exaggerated form of the ordinary woman deprived of beauty or maternal role." Do you grasp what that means? It means that what erupts in old age, the bitterness, the jealousy, the manipulation, is not new. It is the exaggeration of instincts that were always there, waiting beneath the mask of youth. When beauty and fertility collapse, the instincts emerge in full force. The intelligent man avoids older women because he has read this script before, and he knows how it ends. It does not end in peace, it ends in chaos disguised as liberation. Watch how the transformation happens. At 25, she is radiant, her power unquestioned. She is pursued, chosen, admired. Her validation flows effortlessly. By 35, the first cracks appear. Compliments slow, attention dwindles, younger rivals emerge. She panics but hides it well. By 40, the cracks are gaping holes. She cannot escape the truth every reflection tells her. And now desperation begins to rule. She changes her hair, her wardrobe, her circles of friends. She is not discovering herself. She is running from herself. Lombroso insisted that women, more than men, could not detach their sense of worth from the perception of others. And when that perception shifts, their psychology collapses. This collapse is what the intelligent man anticipates and what he avoids. Think of the men who ignored this wisdom. They tell themselves, "My wife is different. She would never betray me. She would never need more than what we have built." And yet, as time marches on, they watch her become someone else. The woman who once found joy in family life now scours her phone for likes, messages, flattery from strangers. She begins to smile more at the man at work than at her husband at home. She begins to dress for others, not for herself, and certainly not for him. And when she finally crosses the line, the man says the tragic words, "I never saw it coming." But he should have. Lombroso saw it a century ago. Intelligent men see it today. The signs are always there, glowing like warnings in the dark. You might say, but isn't this just insecurity? Can't a strong woman resist? The truth is not so convenient. Lombroso's research, though flawed and often condemned, revealed a reality we still witness. Aging women cling to what remains of their power with ferocity, often more ferocity than men ever display. Because for men, worth can shift. Resources, status, wisdom, strength. For women, if beauty was her foundation, there is no replacement strong enough to hold her identity when that foundation crumbles. This is why intelligent men avoid older women, not out of cruelty, but out of foresight. They refuse to anchor themselves to a collapsing structure. And there is another layer: resentment. Lombroso noted how women deprived of youth often turned their jealousy into cruelty, lashing out not only at men, but at younger women who mirrored what they had lost. Intelligent men see this and recoil. They know that once love turns to resentment, once desire turns to envy, a woman becomes unrecognizable. She is not their partner anymore. She is their rival, their judge, their accuser. And no intelligent man binds himself to such an adversary. The most intelligent men of history did not simply marry beauty. They studied what happens when beauty fades. They saw that the woman who seemed tender at 20 could transform into someone unrecognizable at 40. Cesare Lombroso, often accused of being too brutal in his conclusions, wrote plainly that old age in woman is more dangerous than in man, because beauty, her principal defense, is lost, and with it, her chief source of power. Think about the honesty of that statement. For the average man, old age brings limitation, yes, but also dignity, authority, even a strange magnetism. For a woman, it brings the evaporation of the very thing she was taught to value most. And when that power disappears, her instincts turn inward, twisting, reaching for whatever scraps remain. Intelligent men avoid older women because they know they are not choosing a partner, but a battlefield, a place where the war against time is fought daily, and every man in her orbit becomes collateral damage. Consider the psychology. For 2 decades she could smile and the world bent toward her. That smile was currency, that body an empire. She knew no other self than the adored self. But when the world grows indifferent, when smiles no longer draw stares, when her empire collapses into silence, she does not calmly retire her crown. No, she clutches it tighter. She demands that life still treat her as it once did. And the tragedy is it cannot. Intelligent men see this demand for what it is, an impossible expectation. To bind yourself to an older woman desperate to be 20 again is to live beside a ghost who haunts herself. You cannot satisfy her because what she mourns is not you, but her own vanished reflection. And this is where the danger emerges. Lombroso observed that aging women often turn to manipulation, intrigue, and jealousy to regain what nature had stolen. He cited cases of women who spread lies, fueled rivalries, even turned violent, all driven by the terror of invisibility. While his critics dismissed his conclusions as cruel, the patterns he described remain visible in every generation. Intelligent men know that love cannot erase these instincts, and devotion cannot undo biology. They do not hate older women. They simply understand the inevitability of this transformation, and they act with self-preservation. Now think about the younger man, unwise, who does not know this history. He believes her words when she says she is different, that she has matured, that she seeks only peace. But within months, he sees the cracks, the jealousy, the sudden accusations, the volatility, the obsession with proving she is still desired. He feels the energy of desperation, and it exhausts him. He begins to understand what Lombroso catalogued, and by then it is too late. Intelligent men do not put themselves in that position in the first place. They recognize the signs, they remember the warnings of philosophy and science, and they keep their distance. And yet, society tells you the opposite. It praises the man who loves without judgment, who accepts her as she is, who ignores what is written in both biology and history. But philosophy has always told men to seek truth over flattery, and Lombroso's truth was merciless. The woman who has lost beauty will fight against her own decline with a ferocity no devotion can soothe. Intelligent men, unwilling to be consumed by this struggle, shun older women not because they lack compassion, but because they value clarity. What men rarely grasp until it is too late is that the crisis of an aging woman is not a relationship problem. It is an identity collapse. You cannot talk her out of it. You cannot love her through it. You cannot stand there with flowers and stability and expect it to heal her, because what she mourns is not you, but herself. Cesare Lombroso saw this with cold precision when he said that the degenerative tendencies of women appear most violently when their charms have disappeared. He was not speaking only of crime, but of the inner revolution that erupts when the very foundation of her worth is taken away by time. Intelligent men who study not only the body but the soul recognize that they are powerless against this collapse, and so they refuse to tie their futures to it. Imagine the weight of this hunger. A woman in her 20s walks into a room and validation surrounds her like air, effortless, invisible, constant. A woman in her 40s walks into the same room and feels the silence. The stares that once intoxicated her are gone, and that silence to her is unbearable. It screams louder than any insult. It gnaws deeper than any betrayal. Lombroso noted that this silence does not humble. It hardens. It breeds a ferocity, a willingness to destroy what once was stable in order to taste, just once more, the thrill of being desired. The intelligent man knows this hunger is not about him, and that is why he avoids it. He refuses to spend his life competing with the ghost of her youth. And still, society plays its tricks. It tells men that avoiding older women is cruelty, that it is shallow, that love is about the soul. But philosophy teaches us that illusions kill faster than cruelty. To ignore what time does to desire, to pretend that psychology does not change with biology, is not noble. It is foolish. Lombroso's writings remain uncomfortable because they reveal what everyone senses, but no one dares speak aloud, that women without beauty are not the same women they were with it. Their psychology shifts, their needs intensify, their stability weakens. The intelligent man is not deceived by slogans or moral lectures. He sees the truth, and he acts on it. Think of the endless stories. The husband who built a life, provided stability, sacrificed his youth, only to be discarded when his wife reached her 40s. The man who believed devotion could shield him from the laws of nature. The man who thought his wife's loyalty was stronger than her reflection. Each tells the same story. He never saw it coming. But the intelligent man? He did. Lombroso whispered it to him across the pages of history. Philosophy warned him. The patterns were clear. He did not need to learn by destruction what others had already mapped in blood and tears. And here is the final insult. When a woman leaves at 40, she does not confess that she is running from time, from mortality, from invisibility. No, she rewrites history. She says the marriage was never real. She paints her husband as the villain. She turns decades of devotion into a cage, years of loyalty into oppression. Why? Because to admit the truth, that she traded everything for the fleeting high of being noticed once more, would be unbearable. Lombroso recognized this too, the instinct to invent narratives, to cloak biological panic in noble excuses. The intelligent man understands that when this rewriting begins, the game is already over. The woman before him is no longer his partner. She is a character in her own invented story, and he is cast as the enemy. The philosopher's task is not to flatter, but to reveal. Cesare Lombroso revealed a truth so uncomfortable that even today people try to silence it. That the mask of youth disguises instincts which time will always drag to the surface. He showed that when beauty fades, a woman's psychology changes in ways no devotion can prevent. The intelligent man accepts this truth not with bitterness, but with clarity. He does not waste his life arguing with biology. He does not sacrifice his peace to a woman waging war against her own reflection. He does not believe the slogans of a culture that romanticizes illusions and mocks reality. Instead, he builds his life on foundations that endure: strength, discipline, achievement, wisdom. Qualities time cannot strip from him. Understand this clearly. The danger is not in her wrinkles, her age, or her years. The danger is in the desperation those years awaken. A desperation that craves validation more than loyalty, novelty more than stability, illusion more than truth. Lombroso saw it in the courts and the prisons of Europe. You see it in the living rooms and phones of modern life. It is the same pattern, dressed in different clothes. And every intelligent man who values his peace, his future, his sanity, must decide whether he will ignore the warnings or live by them. There is nothing noble in pretending that time spares desire. There is nothing enlightened about binding yourself to someone who resents the mirror. The intelligent man is not cruel. He is wise. He knows that the role of philosophy is to expose the current beneath the surface, to strip away the romance and reveal the mechanics of human behavior. And Lombroso, for all his controversies, handed men a lens that still clarifies the world today. He showed them that women are not static, that their psychology bends under the weight of biology, that aging transforms not only the body but the soul. The intelligent man who shuns older women is not shallow. He is following the line of truth. So if you are listening to this, remember, you are not being asked to hate, but to see the patterns history has already mapped, to see the instincts that philosophy has already named, to see the desperate war that begins when beauty fades, and to choose wisely whether you will stand in its path. Cesare Lombroso exposed it, the world denies it, but the intelligent man never forgets it. He does not waste his strength trying to repair what time itself has undone. He invests where life still grows, where energy flows forward, where peace is possible. That is not cruelty, it is survival. That is not disdain, it is intelligence. And now it is your turn to decide. Will you live blind, trusting illusions until they shatter in your hands? Or will you live awake, eyes sharp, guided by the wisdom of those who saw before you? Men who see the truth do not get destroyed by it. They use it, they grow from it, they protect themselves with it. That is why intelligent men, throughout history and still today, shun older women, because they know what Lombroso exposed, that time is merciless, illusions are fatal, and only truth keeps a man free. So take this truth, carry it with you, and if it struck you, if it woke something in you, then do not keep it to yourself. Like, share, subscribe, and support the link in the description, because the world doesn't want these truths spoken, but together we will make sure they are heard.